So I'm super excited this morning to introduce our guests, and I'm excited to be able to share with you a little bit about them. This is Circle of Care that we're talking about, and I came across their information. A friend of mine had shared some information about them, and I wasn't familiar with them yet, but after reading through it and getting to meet some of their staff, I was like, wow, they do a lot of different things and really active in our community, primarily in foster care, but also through some other activities in our community, and doing really good work with folks that are families that, we would love to work with and love to strengthen families in lots of different ways. And so this is a different angle than we took a few weeks ago with Remerge. That's a prison diversion program, and so that's helping reunite families. This is a different way of working for kids and families, and super excited to share that. So would you please welcome our guest with Circle of Care this morning. Give them a round of applause.
Well, I love being in a room of good people doing good, because that's exactly our birthplace at Circle of Care. It was a group of people like you who decided, hey, we're going to do something about things we see in our community. And the thing they were seeing at that time, back in 1917, was that there were children who needed homes. And so right here in Oklahoma City, a group of people came together and they began to put their resources together, their time together, their talents, and they built what became known as the Oklahoma Methodist Orphanage at the time. Since then, we've grown to Circle of Care today. There's over 6,000 kids in foster care, and we no longer do orphanage work. Now we serve kids in the local community through local homes, people who step up and say, hey, I want to open my home and my heart to be a foster parent. And so we're the largest private provider of foster care in Oklahoma today. And so over the last 106 years, really our DNA hasn't changed. It's good people doing good work, specifically those who follow Christ, saying, hey, God has called us into this space to feed those and clothe those and shelter those who need it. And so one of the things we get to do as an organization that serves foster families is we wrap around them in different ways. It's not just saying, hey, will you open your heart and your home to invite a kid into your home or a teenager into your home or a sibling group. It's saying, hey, we're going to walk this journey with you. We're going to support you and love you. And the ways we do that are through some of the funds that we reinvest back into our families. Last year, we reinvested almost $250,000 back into our foster families. And really, those investment was for the children in their home. So when kids come into care, it's oftentimes very traumatic, very last second. They rarely get a lot of possessions from their house when they come into care. And so in foster care, what's been known as the suitcase is a black trash bag. And so they'll throw as much as they can in that trash bag so they can get them out of the home and bring them into care. And we really try to go against that and give the kids things they need. So from the very first night, we're giving them a welcome basket or a welcome tote bag, and it's full of pajamas, a teddy bear, a blanket, a toothbrush, a comb, a Bible, and trying to give them things that they need for that very first night. We also acknowledge that, hey, some of those clothes may not fit. It may not even been their clothes. It may have just got grabbed, whatever was in front of them. And so we invest back into the child, and we provide clothing funds so that the foster parent can go out and get the child new clothes, not just at placement, but continually through the process of serving that child. One of my favorite things that we do investing back into the children in the home is we have a community activity fund. And really I would call this the Life Experience Fund. We want a child in foster care to enjoy life experiences and experience life experiences like football or baseball or ballet or going to Frontier City or going bowling, whatever it looks like. And so every year for every child, we invest $250 back into that child, and we say, hey, whatever life experience you're going to give this child, we're going to help pay for it up to $250. And we want to invest that. So we do these things on the fund and for the children placed in our home because we want them to have an incredible experience, because foster care is not really, was it ever meant to be the plan? The plan was for them to be with their moms and dads. So if they have to be away from their moms and dads, we want to lessen that trauma. We want to wrap around that child. But we also know this, when moms and dads step up to be foster parents, that's a lot, and it's stressful. So another thing we do is we invest in date nights and babysitting for those foster parents so that they can get out and they can, regroup and reconnect and say, hey, how are we serving this kid? Or maybe they just need to go to Walmart and shop without kids. And we'll reinvest in that process too. So there's all these ways that we're taking funds from community members like you and churches who say, hey, we want to be a part of Circle of Care. And we're reinvesting that money directly back into the impact for children in foster care today, for foster families who are stepping up and saying yes. You know, when I look at Matthew 25 and what Jesus is telling the story about do good and take care of the least of these, man, I think about foster care and providing housing and clothing and shelter and food, all the things he talks about. It's right in this space of saying, hey, we see you, we value you, we want to take care of you. When I look back to 1917, that group of people who came together and said, hey, we're going to do good and we're going to do something about this. I don't even think they really imagined that 106 years later, we'd still be standing here. That one orphanage in northwest Oklahoma City would turn into the largest private agency providing foster care in Oklahoma, touching every corner of the state. But you know who did know what was going to happen when they got together in 1917? God. God was planting the seed, and he was birthing our organization and saying, hey, there's a greater cause even 106 years from now. Like right now, we're going to house these kids who need it right now, but just wait to see what I'm going to do. And I tell my team all the time, our DNA is the someones who do something. We're not the someones who looked around in 1917 and said, man, somebody really ought to do something about that. There's some kids who need homes. I hope someone shows up. Our DNA is that we showed up. And we said, we're the someones who do something. We do good. And 106 years later, we're laying the groundwork. We're writing the stories for the next century of care in Oklahoma. And I won't know what those stories are. Someone else, hopefully 100 years from now, unless Jesus comes back, we'll be telling our story. And they'll be like, 100 years ago, this is what Circle of Care was doing in Coffee Creek. And Edmond gave this money, and they boomed, and they did all these things. We won't even be here to hear the story. But God knows the story. Just like he knows the story of where we are today. And he knew you would be here today to hear this message. And so thank you for inviting us into the season of your church as part of this do good process. We're forever grateful for that. If you have more questions about Circle of Care, we'll be in the back afterwards. If you're looking at, hey, what does it look like to be a foster parent? How can I support more? How can I volunteer? All the different things. We would love to talk to you, so come see me and my staff afterwards. But thank you so much for inviting us into this. Good people doing good is exactly the story of Circle of Care, and we're so thankful to be here this morning.